Call me Super Vegito. Could this be the beginning of the end for Majin Buu?
Hey guys, this is Poohead189, and since I promised you guys I would do a few videos covering the Buu saga, I decided to kick things off by discussing fusions and how they work. It seems pretty apt considering I did the potential unlock video recently, and I've already covered the Super Saiyan, its subforms, and Super Saiyan 2. Fusions are another power-up, and arguably the best one, though it might not count since it's not a single entity getting a power-up, but multiple, at least at first. Anyway, let's talk about it. In Dragon Ball, power does not scale very well when it comes to multiple subjects, compared to a singular subject. If you have two fighters, each with the power levels of like 10,000, and they are fighting a single being with a power level of 14,000, 15,000, it's highly unlikely that they would be able to win against that individual with a 14,000 or 15,000 power level. Even if together their powers, the 10,000 and 10,000, equate to 20,000. This is why you usually see Goku fighting the main villain, and not everybody together. A good example is the Cell games. The reason why the Z Fighters played along with Cell's tournament, and were hoping on Goku and later Gohan to defeat Cell, was because that was a better strategy than just everyone attacking Cell at once. Okay, now, granted, it might have been slightly more effective if they all attacked at once, but it would have caused casualties amongst the Z Fighters most definitely. And in the end, either Goku or Gohan would be the one to beat him anyway. And after Goku gives up, but before he says Gohan will take his place, people are nervous because even if you have Ascended Super Saiyan Vegeta, Ascended Super Saiyan Trunks, and Piccolo all fight Cell at the same time, even if Cell has maybe a 30% or to 40% increase in strength over one of them, that's enough for him to likely take them all out. This is also showcased when Recoome fought Vegeta and then Gohan and Krillin jumped him, or when the Earthlings and Piccolo fought Nappa, and why Roshi stunned Tien and hid him and tried the Mafuba or Evil Containment Wave rather than fight Old King Piccolo alongside Tien and Chaozu. Usually, if an enemy has even a 25% increase in strength over someone else, even an additional fighter or two might not be enough to win. Now, it can happen in extreme circumstances, like Goku and Piccolo showed when they fought Raditz, but it only happens if the stronger foe makes a big mistake. And it was still not without extreme cost, with Piccolo losing an arm and Goku losing his life. Now, of course, there are times when two weaker fighters can beat a stronger fighter, like when Frieza speculated that Zarbon with a power level of 23,000 and Dodoria with a power level of 21,000 could fight Vegeta with a power level of 24,000 and probably beat him, but those powers are super close together. Like I said a minute ago, it really only takes about a 25% increase to really go the next step and be able to manhandle most fighters that come at you. Okay, however, a great way for two fighters to be able to overcome a vastly stronger opponent is to fuse. Firstly, I already touched on the Namekian-style fusion in my Namekian video I made last year. If you want to learn more on that, I suggest you go watch it or brush up on it. But yes, Namekians do have their own racial or species-specific fusion, but again, I already covered it elsewhere. Today, we'll only be talking about the fusion dance and the Potara earrings. Let's start with the fusion dance. Introduced in chapter 469, nice. This could be labeled as a technique, and it has been on various occasions. It was developed by a race called the Metamorans. Goku met a few of them in the afterlife, and they taught the technique to him. It's unknown if he performed it with another being there, but he did learn it enough for it to work on Earth. The way it is performed is through a series of mirrored movements between the two subjects, ending in them touching fingers, or touching fingers in a specific way in pose. The dance needs to be performed perfectly, and it will be faulty, and the fusion will make a weak or pathetic version of a true fusion if it is not done correctly. Now, in performing the dance, these two beings need to be of equal power. If one is more powerful than the other, the stronger one needs to lower their power level to match the other. Or I guess theoretically the weaker one could raise their power level, but you would need some kind of item for that or something. It's easier if the two are of similar height, but that is not required. Once performed correctly, the two beings will fuse into one. A being far more powerful than either, even if you added their powers in addition to one another, will be made. Notable fusions of the fusion dance are Gotenks and Gogeta. In the Super Exciting Guide, it describes the fusion as pretty much like multiplying one character's power with another. I generally take the Super Exciting Guide at its word, much like I do the Daizenshu, but that does present a number of problems, not least of which it describes the next fusion of giving the same amount of power increase, but it's almost explicitly stated that that is not true, even in the manga. Speaking of which, let's get into the other mode of fusion in question, and that is the Potara earrings. Now, the Potara are technically seen first when Supreme Kai shows up, but their true nature is showcased in the 501st chapter of Dragon Ball. They are a set of earrings that Supreme Kais use, and that generations of Supreme Kais have used in dire circumstances. Old Kai states that they are greater than the fusion dance, or have a greater effect, and this is somewhat confusing. One, since he's been imprisoned in the sword for millions of years, I think it was 75 million years, that means somehow the Metamorans have been around that long and have been using the fusion dance for that long too. Although I will also say it is possible that they have all been wiped out and they have just been in the afterlife for that long, which is kind of dark, but hey, that could be the possibility. But also, what does greater effect even mean? Because that is what Okai says, it has a greater effect than the fusion dance. Well, for the purposes of this video, I am going to say it means that the fusion becomes even stronger, so Vegito would be stronger than Gogeta, and the writers of the Daizenshu stated as well. So it seems that that is how it must be. Though to make matters more confusing, in Shonen Jump, they say the fusion dance merges the subject's spirits, while the Potara does not, which helps them bring out the full power of the fusion. So the Daizenshu says one thing, and Shonen Jump says another. However, since the manga says there is a greater effect, I am going to go with the Daizenshu one for now. So for now, Vegito is stronger than Gogeta. Now, the fusion dance fusion only lasts for 30 minutes, as we all know, but the Potara earrings are permanent, unless specific circumstances are met like when Goku and Vegeta were absorbed into Buu. And I would imagine you can likely wish for them to unfuse with the Dragon Balls as well. Yes, Dragon Ball Super does retcon that and says the Potara fusion only lasts an hour, but that is not what is in the original manga, so we ain't listening to that. Also, if we throw Daima into the mix, it gives a second retcon on why Goku and Vegeta unfused in Buu, which is due to the gas Buu emits, apparently. Notable Potara fusions are, of course, Vegirot and Kibito Kai, and something we also need to note is that both the fusion dance and the Potara earrings each give the fused being a certain Arabian Nights-style clothing. The fusion dance gives what is apparently the normal Metamoran garb, which is a sleeveless jacket, a sash belt, and pantaloons, and the Potara instead just makes a combination of the clothes of the two subjects in question. I do find it quite interesting how the dance and the Potara both create different versions of a fusion, and we should note that you cannot fail a Potara fusion. Also, the beings using the Potara do not need to have similar power levels. Goku wanted to fuse with Gohan, who was far stronger than him, and then he wanted to fuse with Tien, though admittedly we don't know how much Tien's power compares to base Goku. And then Goku wanted to fuse with Hercule or Mr. Satan, and Goku's power is astronomically stronger than his, so much so Goku theorized he might even become weaker if they fused, though we do need to note that is never verified. Also, in the Japanese, Goku thinks even if he does get stronger fusing with Hercule, it would be like a power level of 1000 growing to 1001. But again, this is just speculation on Goku's part. Anyway, I believe that is everything I wanted to say about the fusions today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. My next video will be on a more speculative and fun note, coming soon. Also, I just recently made a video where I detail what other anime I might cover on this channel for the coming year, The link will be in the description below. I was mostly joking on my community note I made earlier, but I was surprised YouTube's algorithm was acting weird when I posted something unrelated to Dragon Ball. It was kind of wild. Either way, thanks for all the support. Whether you're a patron, a subscriber, someone who comments, or just likes the video, I appreciate all of you. Alright, see you everybody.